Up here. Hello, friends and viewers on YouTube and Twitch. Welcome to another episode of Crone's Crucible with WATERDANCE as we do our Waterdeep version. We have had a lot of fun in the last couple of weeks. Tonight, real life has been a bear. People are trying to get on because things are going on. We will be missing Varus or Mink tonight. I think he was swimming around in Waterdeep Harbor and ate too many bad fish and spoiled kelp because he's down with the stomach upset after a restaurant visit. So he will be missing tonight. Hi there. And yeah, as I've got it here. Very good. And as I said on here, I think somebody gave Epiphany a gift of a test tube set, and he started experimenting with parthenogenesis or something. Wound up with little copies of himself running around and screaming. So from time to time, they may be screaming tonight. We shall see. Anyway, for reasons of such problems, we are going to at least start with no video tonight. Over time, I hope to get the pictures up because I like to talk with my hands. So I have a problem if I'm not up on where I can deal with that. I have to do my motions. All right. So last week, the team basically finished up all the errands that they had, which was quite a few errands that needed finishing up. They started gathering the next errands that their various factions had for them. And they started seeing to really getting the Troll Skull Inn whipped into shape for our grand reopening. Meanwhile, a couple of you were out experiencing things. Cassian was out delivering the herbs to Fala and also meeting with Vicent Trench, the local detective / investigator who does a lot of things on the street. And Vicent gave him some information that he had tracked down by pulling on the ear of his favorite little pigeons on the street, which is a street gang that is pictured here that you will see. These people will be met from time to time. They are kids, but they are very, very streetwise. They have lived their entire lives on the street, and they know a fat wallet from a skinny one. And their names are, on the barrel is Squidly. The boy standing behind cheering him on is Jenks. And the girl with the long hair is called Nat. However, it is short for Natasha. She does not like to be called Natasha because she tries very hard to keep up with the boys, and she likes to be called Nat. And so she's the leader of the gang, believe it or not. And she runs them with an iron fist, but there's more to her that you will find out over time. So Vicent had gone and talked to them to see what they had seen, since they were known to hang around the docks, and Cassian had asked about this Nimblewright that was on one of the ships. They did indeed identify it as one of the main ship, the prime ship for the Maiden's Fair that Lord Zord runs, and that he does indeed visibly have a Nimblewright sailor on board his ship, but it is not a blue Nimblewright, which when Nim talked to you at the Temple of Gond, he said that he was fond of the color blue and made the metallic skin of his creation a blue color. So neither he nor the one on the ship is a blue Nimblewright. So apparently there's a third one running loose in the city that is neither of these. You did get the impression that Lord Zord was probably the one who delivered Nim to the Temple of Gond. He was actually the cause for them getting it. So that gave you a little bit of information. So again, Lord Zord's name comes up as it does on all kinds of things. Meanwhile, the shepherd had met with Mert at his big treasury house. On the way home, he noticed a lot of wagons at the central marketplace and went in to see what was going on. Found that with the holiday ending, because you'd missed most of it, the Maiden's Fair was closing up, finishing up because the holiday has ended, and the fair is heading off until the next half-year visit that it will have 6 months from now. So he hung around there for a moment, just kind of trying to see who he was noticing. He did notice one individual that kind of stood out. Something itched at the back of his neck and made him stare at him. And he just on a whim decided to do a detect magic, detected there was illusory magic on this individual, and he went up and clapped him on the shoulder to break the spell. And this human workman that was carrying things around suddenly turned into a very handsome, very noble looking and very self-confident drow who was most irritated that his disguise had been broken, and he said that he liked to help the circus and that he would be questioned and talked to with the same kind of mannerisms basically that Shepherd was using, very questioning because he was a drow, so therefore he would disguise himself so that people wouldn't question why he was helping the circus. But he was very much in control of the situation, and Shepherd got the feeling that this guy was way more than he was cracked up to be and quite powerful. So he decided to let it be for the time being, and he went on home to the Troll Skull Alley, where you are about to finally reopen the doors. When you got completely ready and looked out the doors, you found a huge line that included all the who's who of the city that have all come to show you their support against the ones that are trying to cause you trouble. So that is where we will open up tonight as we leave our friendly neighborhood urchin kids and move over to the Troll Skull Alley. We bid them fond adieu for the moment.
Actually, before you switch that screen, I just wanted to point out real quick that, like, these kids that's sitting right here is all fine and dandy, but I'm a little bit more interested in this guard dragging a body in the background.
Yeah, you have to wonder. There's a lot of strange things go on down at the dock.
Just wanted to point that out. Okay.
I'm just going to chalk that up to random passed out drunk in the streets, and they're just hauling them off.
Yeah, it's just a drunk.
Right.
Look,
Nothing to see here.
We all got our suspicions. It's sketchy at best.
Never mind the dagger in his neck. He's drunk.
There's no dagger in his neck.
No, I'm...
And the circus wagons behind it, of course, so, everything being loaded up on the ship. So we will move back to the Troll Skull Alley, and I will turn it over to our players to tell me what they have in plan for our grand reopening. What's up, gang?
Epiphany will be standing in the corner, looking or near the fireplace, just kind of someplace prominent so that anybody who comes in knows that we are watching.
Cassian will be at the bar, and he'll have turned his stool around so that he's facing the door with a I guess you could say a pint or whatever of wine.
Relian is going to rush into the kitchen, mage hands abound, and considering it's about noon, he's going to start cooking up some common lunchtime orders.
Is any of the help here? I know that we had, like, a barmaid and I think someone else.
Yes, I don't have the actual tokens on the map, but you can assume that your waiters, bouncers, stable hands, whatever are in it. The one that is in obvious not visibility is your axe grinder, who a retired as the crowd was starting to gather, kind of went out the sort of side door, hopped over the railing, and went around the north side of the building up to the rooms, just to stay out of view. I probably, I guess, would have gone up the new spiral staircase that's been constructed, but
right. I'm not worried about him. He'll have his own task later. But
yeah.
I would go over with any of the ones that would do like just some general cleaning, you know, sweeping or cleaning plates and whatnot, as to what tasks should be done today for making sure that the store stays clean, or the tavern.
Very good.
Probably, like, I don't know, right here.
Okay, so are you about ready for these doors to be opened?
Mm-hmm. In fact, Cassian will be the one to open them.
Well, you open the doors and immediately people start streaming in. Yagra is actually at the head of the line, and she walks in with her usual bold orc style and says, "All right, Cassian, where do you want me to help?"
I beg your pardon, help?
I came down here to give you a hand. It's what I need to do, because with all the trouble you've been having, I decided I'd come over and help you out today.
Well, if by help you mean either be a towering figure of authority, then by all means. But if you mean knocking a few drinks back, you can always be at the bar.
I'll be the bouncer. That's my job over at the Yawning Portal, and I can do that well. I'll keep anybody from giving you trouble here.
All right, then just keep yourself right here, and he points to his right, and he just steps back to usher more people in.
I'm assuming that she is loud enough to be heard from most of the room, so Nokri's just going to have this, like, spit take, like, wait, what? I'm not, what? And just kind of, like, force self to go into that, like, noble poker face, just so they, like, I'm hearing this, I'm not believing this, what?
Yeah, she immediately rolls up her sleeves and stands there giving everybody a strong eye as they come in, but that most of the people who come in don't look like they're anybody that will give her any trouble. Paula is right behind her. She comes in and heads for the bar and orders a drink, probably two, for since they like to pin one on sometimes, and they have a potion bottle that keeps them from having any side effects. Couple of elderly men come in. You've never seen them. They come in right behind those and take a seat at the very back. Let me shrink some of these tokens down as I have time. They're kind of on the big side, but anyway, Yagra's standing by the door, follows over at the bar. Embrick and Avi come in. Varus is down, nursing his upset stomach in the cellar and brewing his brews. Then we have these two gentlemen that come in, and they go way in the back here. They just kind of stay away from the others a bit for some reason. They take a seat very quickly and just keep an eye on everybody, watch the public. They seem to be kind of watching everything. Only Epiphany would recognize a red-turbaned individual that comes in quietly, gets a drink at the bar. Tully's there. All the Troll Skull Alley is there. Every last person from Troll Skull Alley is there. And Vicent, as he comes in, do I have his pic? Yeah, I do. As he comes in, he walks casually by Cassian, and he pulls a scroll out of his pocket, that pocket where everything seems to disappear into. He pulls it out of his pocket, and with just a casual half glance at Cassian and a smirk as he walks on towards the bar, he hands them a scroll and says, "I got this today."
Cassian gives him a small and curt nod before he just continues putting on his face of amiability.
Has everybody read that? Are you able to see it?
Yeah,
am.
sorry, I was
Yeah.
reading it.
You can hit the magnifying glass if you need it bigger.
I'm having trouble focusing. My apologies ahead of time.
For any viewers that might have a screen that doesn't get this up really good, I'll read it for them. It says, "Honorable Mr. Trench, although you are always a busy man, could you look into a matter for our guild? We are willing to pay your usual research fee of 50 dragons to have you check in on the whereabouts of one of our members, Fenrus Storm's castle. He has not reported to work in 2 days, and citizens between the statue of the Honorable Knight to the Temple of Helm have reported darkened streets during this time. We are assigning another lamplighter to cover this area, which was Fenris's responsibility, but would like to know if he is well. He resided in the back alleyways behind Trollcrook Alley, not far from where it intersects with Sastro. With crime on the rise, darkened streets are ever a danger, and appreciate any efforts you could turn to this matter. Master Quentin Velador, Lamplighters Guild." Volo comes in with his usual group of friends in tow, and Durnan is there, apparently kind of checking out and helping you out a bit. He does sidle up to Nokri and say, "I see you've got a good bartender, but if you need another one, I'll help out any time. Anything you might be needing." A couple of constables even come in, although they have dressed down enough that you can tell they're off duty. They don't actually seem to be checking you out for laws. They seem to be grinning and enjoying a drink while they're off duty.
It'd be a shame if someone dropped their food on their faces.
Oh yeah, it'd be nice.
And finally, bringing up the rear with bodyguards beside her, you notice a very elegant and well-dressed elf that most of you would recognize, at least from a distance, as having seen before. It is the Open Lord of Waterdeep herself, Laeral Silverhand. She smiles, nods at people. Everybody greets her, of course, as she comes in, especially Mert and various peoples like that are the ladder climbers of Waterdeep, rush to take her hand, welcome her to the inn, etc. You notice that the two elderly gentlemen in the back are paying a special attention as she comes in. They seem to be talking to each other over their drinks and quite fascinated by the fact that she has shown up at the bar.
Well, with everyone getting seated and preparing and ordering their drinks, Cassian's going to discreetly make his way towards Nokri and inform her of the Open Lord's presence.
What will he also be doing about that note, just tucking it in his pocket for now?
Yeah, he's going to read it when he has time alone.
Oh boy. Yeah, Nakri is just going to nod, looking over, seeming a little bit halfway amused by everything going down, confused because they're just certain things were not expected, and then very delighted by the turn of events at the same time. It's like this weird amalgamation of like, I'm not sure if I'm all that happy with how things turned out, but this is quite pleasantly surprising.
Confused and exciting. Or
Yeah.
coinciding.
So Epiphany is scanning the room for anybody that's looking sort of out of the ordinary and not somebody that we would typically expect. He is very close to the two older gentlemen and is kind of tilted what passes for their ears, on in that direction, and is also occasionally shifting one eye to stare at Volo.
Did something exciting happen? I feel like something exciting happened.
No, nothing exciting happened.
Brilliant, Alexia is shouting that.
Give me a perception roll, Epiphany, as you do your perception jobs.
That one. And it's a 10.
Average.
You do not see anybody that like stands out like a sore thumb. The only thing you can say is almost everybody here is being extraordinarily gregarious. And in addition to the who's who tokens that are up here on the screen, there are also many, many people coming and going that are just commoners from the street, and that could be what these guys are, although they kind of look like they're a little bit more of a person type of character than they are just the average commoner. But there are people coming and going all the time, a lot of people schmoozing a bit with names that they don't usually get to hobnob with, and finding it kind of neat that all these people are in the Troll Skull today. Some people stop by and actually get lunch. Others just come in to take selfies with themselves, with the bigwigs. And they
may chant for that.
Yeah. But there's just a hubbub of activity, and most of the people in the inn, including the commoners that come and go, seem to be hobnobbing. They want to rub elbows, even if they are kind of hesitant because they've never met Laeral Silverhand personally or something. They still want to kind of be in the area and be seen with, sort of thing. But the only thing you can say in any way, shape, or form is the two old gents seem to be just being old gents. They don't want to get into the middle of the thing. They don't seem to want to have their toes stepped on and get bumped around, and they are just sitting quietly enjoying their drinks. They are getting drinks and food, but they are sitting quietly just observing people.
I'm gonna vacate that back table, roll up what I've got, tuck it behind the bar, not mumble, but mutter to Leaf to keep an eye on those papers if she can, and then make my way around, greeting as many people as I humanly can, but doing my best to make that beeline over to this table to introductions.
Very good. And all of you can tell me if they're, faction leaders or individuals that you want to have conversations with as we do the many or few minutes, as you choose, of this opening scenario. So you head over to speak with Laeral. She looks up as you come, and she kind of blinks, and she actually opens the conversation to help you feel a little more comfortable, and she says, I believe you must be Lady Nockery?
Indeed. I was actually not expecting someone like yourself to be here, but this is a very pleasant surprise. She'll be the full humble and proper type of respectful bow and all that.
She will smile and nod, and she tends to speak about half the time with a kind of a royal we when she talks. But she says, "We felt it was in our best interest to make a showing here. After the many problems that those who were acting in our name have caused you, I thought it best to let it be known that I am not against the Trollskull Alley being in operation."
Your open support is most generous. I do not hold it against anyone for attempting to do what they feel their duty is, even if sometimes it may be misguided.
She smiles a kind of long-suffering smile and says, "Duty is one thing, but there are those who sometimes wish to find success over the misfortunes of others, and I try my best to see that that is squashed a-morning."
So Knocker will sigh and go, I can relate on that. My own struggles back home. Coming here was an interesting change of pace for a while.
I imagine the business dealings of Waterdeep could be difficult for one from another realm. Is your realm quite as filled with intrigue as ours?
Yes and no. A little bit on a different level. There are some factors that have not reached our shores. Some things that would benefit if they did, and vice versa, I feel. But thankfully, coming here, I've met a very interesting group of people. Ones who have helped me navigate most of the choppy waters, so to speak.
I was very pleased to know that you had made the acquaintance of Lord Silvermane himself. He will be a most helpful guide in this respect. As for myself, the matters of late have become so difficult that I cannot negotiate the streets without bodyguards. A few years ago it was not so, and times are difficult.
Well, if there's anything, I know I am from outside of Waterdeep, but if there's anything I could do directly to assist, I came here not for my nobility, but for the experience of being non-nobility. It honestly, I wasn't expecting to even mention I even came from a royal bloodline until it actually became a necessity.
Yes, in Waterdeep such things are valuable. We shall see to it that we open negotiations with your lands to make sure that trade and good feelings are extended to all.
Of course, things of which will also be made easier once an heir is selected.
Ah, the leadership is in question in your land?
Not yet. It's more like six are trying to take the spot of one, but of course only one may actually sit on the actual final throne.
She laughs mirthlessly. Now that I can empathize with. It is why I must always travel with my bodyguards. There are so many here who would very much enjoy having one of the seats on the council, and certainly the position of Open Lord if they can get it. However, right now the contention maintains. There is a great deal of tension, as I believe you've already encountered with the Gralhuns, who are quite powerful, and the Castellanters, who are their greatest rivals.
So I am noticing.
Being nearby, I kind of move closer after hearing about the Castellanters.
Will you
So
join in the conversation at all?
Nope. I'm just like I'm sweeping or something.
Very good.
So I am noticing at least one party has extended a hand of friendship, so to speak. Though I try to make friends with many and not pick sides.
It is often hard to do in Waterdeep. It is often by picking sides that you survive. When one picks no one, everyone is your enemy. It is the danger and burden of the Open Lord to try and keep things as balanced as possible.
That I can appreciate.
I
Still,
have,
I can't.
Nevertheless, I am most happy to have made your acquaintance, and if you come by at some time when there are no burdens upon your shoulders, we shall see to trade agreements between your realm and ours.
Of course, I figured tis easier to help with negotiations once people learn of myself, and this tavern fell into my arms along with the others with me, so we figured, why not? At least it will give a way to get people to know us, or at least myself.
Excellent. I, for myself, am going to enjoy the afternoon for at least a short while and pretend that there are no burdens that I must return to, but alas, I will probably be here no more than an hour. Could you perhaps see to one of the
Yes.
waitresses and have them bring me whatever your finest wine is?
I'll see what we still have in stock. And Nakri will go off to investigate and flag down one of the other girls to see if they can talk to Varys to see what's ready and what's not ready.
Very good. And I'm sure he will have something that he's had brewing for quite a few days, enough that it's not green anymore. So he would be able to have some house wines to send up, some of which I think he said he had some strawberry wines or something that he was working on. So hopefully it's not a kelp wine. So what is Epiphany doing now? What's Relian doing now? Is Relian just working himself up into a sweat running back and forth?
Aurelian would actually burst forth from the kitchen holding some plates. Who ordered the seaweed stew and the deep-fried seagull?
A waitress from the other side of the room waves her arm and comes over and takes the plates from you to take to her table. And when he comes back, he finds that his cranes are missing. He accidentally picked them up instead of seagull. No.
Sorry, what? No, we're rewinding that. That's not canon.
Just wanted to see if you were awake there. Anyway, okay.
Epiphany is noticing the red turbaned guy, oddly enough. They seem the most out of place.
Very good. He would also be paying very close attention to you. When you pass near him, he would lean towards you and actually say, "If you can get a moment alone, I would have a word with you."
And Epiphany simply murmurs, May we speak to your mind?"
That would be most excellent. I would encourage it.
So Epiphany establishes a mental connection with him and then starts moving back to their post. What can we do for you?
We have been noticing you. You come from a source that we believe we recognize. There is an aura, a thumbprint, if you will, upon you that I recognize. And we, my group, would have you possibly run some errands for us if you would be so kind. We believe that you could carry on where those who disappeared could not.
We will be available later tonight, and we would hear your specifics.
Excellent. I will meet you at the appointed time, and in the meantime, I shall enjoy the fine camaraderie of your inn.
What shall we refer to you as?
Call me Hatmin.
Very well. We shall see you then. And with that, I have to go be a dad and get children who are refusing to sleep.
Yep, off
Good
to
night, everybody.
go take care of his little lookalikes. All right, so what are the rest of you doing?
Cassian will be doing, as I said, he'll be helping the girl. He'll be helping the servers with delivering drinks and foods, and he'll also, talk with some of the people, those who are important, those who are not, those who are friends, and those who are not. But he'll also give special attention to Renair since he needs it.
Very good. Renair will be grateful for the time. He comes in and gets a drink, tends to wander out to the entrance porch in the fresh air a bit. He keeps his eyes always peeled and aware of his surroundings these days. He's not as incautious as he was at the time when you first learned of him and met him. He now is very careful wherever he goes and keeps his eyes out. And he says, I understand you're having more and more troubles, and some of them seem to ever wrap themselves around the stories of my father.
Yeah, the city has a lot of secrets, and some people are very dedicated to prying them open.
At the deaths of others, unfortunately. Take care. I have learned that those who are looking for those secrets can be most deadly.
Ain't that the truth? And he looks over to Floon, and how does Floon look?
He looks like Floon. He actually doesn't look near as worried as Renair does. He has a drink in both hands, and he's drinking out of one cup and then the other. Speed drinking. And his face is starting to get a little on the red side, and he's being very jolly and talking to everybody that comes by. But he's kind of standing by Renair, keeping an eye on him a little bit.
And finally to Vasha, is it?
Vajra?
No, the priestess.
Yeah, what is her name? I don't remember her name. Let me look it up. Valletta.
Valletta. And he gets her a drink.
She smiles and says, oh, something mild, perhaps just a tiny bit of rum in a lemonade, please. Nothing strong.
Cassian will oblige her, and he'll eventually return with it. And he just asks her, so, how's the upcoming festival, or how's the preparations for the upcoming festival turning out?
Quite excellent. We are going to have a lovely show tonight, a show with this coming event. I think we're going to have some wonderful clockwork events to show people. It's going to be one of our best festivals. It's part of the reason I'm here. I have something for Lady Nakri.
I'll make sure it's delivered to her.
She kind of looks hesitant, like she kind of wanted to deliver it in person, but finally she nods and she takes out a carefully wrapped bundle that has what feels like some kind of clockwork something in it, from the way there's like gears and knobs and things on it, the way it feels when you pick it up.
Cassian won't make any comments on it. He'll just give her a bow and give Floon and Renera a bow as he passes by them.
I shall see you at the Day of Wonders.
And it will be a wondrous day.
Indeed, indeed. And she begins to sip her lemonade, her spiked lemonade, basically.
Well, he tucks that into his vest, and he just goes about on his way. And while he's at the
It's
bar,
pretty hard to tuck into your vest. It's like probably a foot or more in diameter. It's a large package.
Well, he'll keep it discreetly. He'll try and keep its presence discreet while he goes to the bar and then tucks it in with knot-grease papers as a sort of fancy paperweight.
Very good. Shepard, do you have anything else you want to do as we move on with this?
I would eventually make my way over to Mert. So I'll step over to him and I'll start with, are you enjoying your meal today, sir?
Always, always. Oh, this is wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. He's got a big tankard in one hand. He's kind of slushing around, and he's got a drumstick of some kind of fowl that he's holding and munching on in the other, and he's gesturing with both of them as he's holding forth and telling great stories to Volo. He and Volo seem to be almost two peas in a pod of their type of bombastic style that they have, even though they are on the opposite ends of the monetary scale.
I put a hand on his shoulder and I lean in. So stage whisper here. I spotted a man following me a lot sooner than I expected for a shadow. Has someone been assigned to me yet?
Yes, my boy, as long as he is highly flamboyant, highly visible, and obviously not a shadow, couldn't possibly be a shadow, but one of our best, I must say.
Very well, thank you for the information. And then I guess I turn my attention to Volo. So what is it that you are planning now, Sir Volo?
I'm trying to get lots of interest in my book. You know, I've got the Incaridon that I've got to publish. I've been working on it hard, trying to get the information, but I've got a few things, and I'm going to devote the page to the Troll Skull Inn. Don't you fear. I'm going to make sure you have the notice. Whenever anyone comes and gets the Incaridon, they'll see the Troll Skull featured there prominently. Durnan kind of gives him a little bit of an elbow from behind. Ah, yes, yes, and the yawning portal will come before it. Never fear, Durnan.
Very well. Well, you two enjoy your meal. I will continue my work elsewhere. And I move my way back towards the back area.
Very good.
Before we move on, I am kind of curious, because Relian is keeping an eye out as well. As he's bringing out food to the waitresses and coming to and from the main room and the kitchen, could I roll a perception check to see if I see anyone who's acting suspicious or shady or seems to be trying to keep to themselves?
Yes.
Always better safe than sorry. Oh.
As you come back and forth, it's almost as if you are watching a time stop, because you're seeing a click of patrons and what they're doing, and then going back to the kitchen, and another click of what's happening and going back to the kitchen. And the thing that you notice in this back and forth as you're going is every time you come out, everybody in this bar is in a different place, with the exception of the two old gentlemen in back. They have never moved. They occasionally talk with each other, and they are partaking of the food, but they are the only ones in the bar who have not moved a twit in the entire time that this has been going on. If it was speeded up, you would have one of those time stop images that you've seen where one person is standing in the middle of Times Square and all the people are running around and by them, but they're just standing static. That's the kind of image that you would get of this picture.
On his way back into the kitchen, Rel would actually tug on Shepard's sleeve and ask, "So, Shep, do you know the two old fogies in back?"
I look over. Do I know the two old fogies?
No, they just look like average sorts. One of them looks a little like he might be a mage, might be somebody from the Black Tower or something. He's kind of mage-like. The other one has a big hat, kind of pulled down, working sort of beat-up old hat that's pulled down around his ears that he didn't take off when he came in. Even here in Waterdeep, a little bit of removing your hat is considered appropriate, but he's just sitting there with his droopy old beat-up hat down around his ears, drinking and eating away, and occasionally nodding as the other person talks to him.
I look over to Cassian, to Relia, and just tell him, no, I don't believe I've seen them before.
Relian would survey the room. He's got a pretty good head start on all the orders, and he just ruffles his sleeve and says, "Well, time to follow my instincts and probably make an ass out of myself." He heads over to the table.
You mean like every day?
Yeah, see? You're starting to get me. I knew we were friends.
Let's not use harsh terms.
Relian would head over to the table. He'd stop by the bar and probably grab a pitcher of water and probably a bottle of some kind of common booze just to keep up appearances, and he'd wander over to the table and says, "Hello there, gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying yourselves."
The old guy with the big white beard, he looks up. Oh, yes. Oh, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to have the old girl open again. It's been a while since she's been open, you know. Back in my youth, this place changed hands many times.
Well, who's to say what'll happen in future? Although we're hoping to keep the old girl open from here onward. So we're trying to, as the new owners and the new proprietors, we're trying to get a feel for our customers and establish regulars. What brings you two in today? What are your names? Can I get you anything special? He holds up the pitcher and the bottle.
The man in the big white beard says, "Oh, I'm Master Solus. I used to be a mage, you know. I don't do much anymore. Age is getting to me. Arthritis, you know. I can't waggle my fingers like I used to."
I'm gonna insight check that because that doesn't sound bad at all.
Just a second.
Magic is only half movement; the other half is mental. This doesn't sound magical at all.
Like how we're distrusting people that potentially could be our allies. That's just how it is.
Dude, these are the characters we made. We have no one to blame but ourselves.
Oh, I know. We're just laughing at it though.
In addition to, his comment, I'm just trying to get a feel for this guy in general with that insight check. Because that's a good insight check.
He's lying through his teeth.
Oh.
Okay. So you're a mage. What part do I feel like he's lying about? The mage part or the part he doesn't do much magic anymore?
The part that he doesn't do much magic anymore.
I'm actually going to be As I'm going to use up some proprietor privilege here, and I'm actually going to take a seat next to the old man as I place the pitcher and the bottle down on the table. Says, "Oh, come on now, old timer. I'm a bit of a practitioner myself. That's intentional. Practitioner myself.
That's all, folks.
I'm a bit of a practitioner myself, and from one magician to another, snap my fingers and a small flame appears at the top. Come on, we never really do we?
Oh, you saw right through me, didn't you? Well, then if you're a practitioner, one of them, then you know that you can't let people know that you still got it. They like to think when you get old you lose it and you're an easy mark, so I like just telling people I can't do anything anymore, but I can pretty much do most anything I need.
Very wise, very wise. I can respect a man who hedges his bet, so to speak.
He waves his fingers, and a bunch of little dancing lights dance all around your head.
Brilliant nods and gives a very polite clap, but inside he's thinking, not impressed, I can do that too.
See, I still got it. I haven't lost it.
Oh, you still got it. You still got it. Much ado to you. And I'll turn to the man in the big impressive hat and says, "What about you, my good sir?"
I keep an eye on my friend over here. He tends to wander off a bit and forget where he is, so I kind of follow along and keep track of him. He's hasn't lost the waggle, but he's sometimes lost from on the side facing away from the old gentleman. He does like this. Yeah, I have to kind of help him sometimes.
Well, that's very good of you. Very good of you indeed.
I kind of almost picture these two old guys like the Muppet movie old men with the
Stadler and Waldorf.
The hecklers, yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, there was one good thing about that show. What's that? It ended.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But Aurelian will get up and he'll leave the bottle for them, but take the pitcher with him and says, "Well, you two enjoy yourselves, and just throwing this out there in case either of you are interested, but me and my pals, my friends, my comrades, my amigos, I have no idea where that word comes from, but I like the sound of it, me and my co-proprietors, we're not just running in here, we're also problem solvers on the side. So if you ever have any odds and ends that you need help with, please do keep us in mind."
I will keep that in mind and pass it on to Solus should he need it. Sometimes he needs help finding his shoes. Who is that down in the far corner? My eyesight's getting a little bad too. Is that Laeral Silverhand itself?
Rel will slowly turn his head, then look back at them, then back at Silverhand, then back at them. Says, "Yes."
I didn't know she came out like this. Nice to know. She's a lovely woman, isn't she?
She is at that. She is at that. Heard she's stern but fair. We couldn't ask for a better Open Lord.
Yes, well, I suppose everyone has their own opinions. Some think that she should be replaced, but that's the way with any such job, I suppose.
Oh, really? I've got to say that I've heard those inklings before, but they're usually in the minority. Just between friends and complete confidence, you understand, but what happens to be your opinion on the matter?
Oh, I don't dabble in politics. Never, never, never. I never touch the stuff. It's the quickest way to die I know of. I strictly keep to myself and do my own business.
Well, again, just from one magician to another, you mentioned that some people would like to see her replaced. Don't suppose you would hear inklings of who those people might be if they have such a vocal voice all of a sudden? Just so I know to stay clear of them, of course.
Oh, they're not terribly hard to find. They make their voice quite heard, sometimes over the din and hubbub of the entire city. Look no further than the mansions, and you will hear the most heavily dissenting voices, but as between you and me, always because they really wish to be seated on her throne.
The old case of loved by the people, despised by the nobility.
Precisely.
Well, you can't win everybody over, I suppose. Well, again, gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for staying with us today. We provide in-services if you ever feel too tired to walk home or if you drink yourselves silly, and let me know if you need a special order, and please do keep in mind our problem-solving services. How you take that is up to you. Bye!
The slightly younger gentleman says, "Thank you very much," and the really old gentleman leans in and goes, "Do you have any facilities? I have the need to take a run right now."
I'm going to imagine what that means, and I'm just going to point you to the back, my good sir. It's freshly cleaned and pampered just for you.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, wonderful. And he gets up and he hobbles slowly towards the door with a kind of Tim Conway old man routine as he heads out the door. The second man watches him go for a moment and takes another big swig of his drink, like with an air of, I gotta be following him. He gets up and follows after the older old man.
Brilliant's just standing there thinking, the old man routine. Like, he can clearly still do magic, and he lied about that. He's wondering to himself how much of the old man bit is an act and how much of it isn't. And he's also wondering, like, how much of their relationship that he just saw was a play and how much of it wasn't. Because now, you know, when he finds out people have lied to him, he's always suspicious now. But he just shrugs to himself and heads back to the kitchen.
Very
and
good.
On the way, Cassian would give him a curious brow as to basically ask, what was up with that?
I talk to people!
Sometimes almost makes sense when he does.
I talk to people too, CC. You're not the only person who talks to people.
Cassian's just going to shake his head and continue working.
Ryan's going to give him a hug from behind and says, "Love you too, bye."
All right, over time, the initial who's who crowd starts to thin out. The various people have jobs and things that they have to do. They've made their show for the community. They've eaten their lunch. Sometimes in the case of like Mert, it's a bit of a liquid lunch, but they've eaten their lunch and they begin to head out. Vicent gives Cassian a kind of a look as he leaves, like, pay attention to what I gave you sort of thing, and he heads on back to his facility. The rest of the Trollskull are kind of the last ones to leave your neighbors. They kind of hang around until the real bigwigs have left and wandered off to their various jobs. And before they leave, they all shake your hand and pat you on the back and cheer you on and say things like, yes, we knew we could do it. We went around and we got everybody excited to come help you.
I'll make sure to shake as many hands as I can and thank them for their efforts, showing the
eternal appreciation of the neighborly gesture.
Make sure you wash your hands after each handshake.
Or wear rubber
I
gloves.
am going to shoot you one day. I am going to hurt you.
It's not bad advice, to be fair. It's medieval society.
No,
And
but
make sure
still,
you don't touch your face either.
I'm going. You're dead to me. I love you, but you're dead to me.
Lovers quarrel, everyone.
Oh.
Durnan leans into Yagra as he goes past her and says, "Don't stay too late. I'll be expecting you to take care of my end tonight, you know." And she just looks at him and kind of elbows him like, "Oh, Durnan, you go on now. I'll be there. You know I will."
As key people are leaving, like Volo and maybe the constables and everyone who helped us out, and Relian would pass them, a goodie bag filled with whatever's left over from the food in the kitchens, and probably a small cheap wineskin of something cheap, and it says, "There you go, that's for you. Get out of our shop. Go on, bye, go, leave."
The constables would be particularly thankful. They don't have big salaries, and they both kind of look at it like, "Oh boy, this is going to be dinner." So they look particularly excited. Valletta left a bit earlier than others. She has an enormous parade to arrange for tomorrow, so she's going to be quite busy with that. But eventually all of the people start drifting out if there's nothing else that you need, and they disappear off to their respective businesses and or homes. So the big crowd is gone. There may be a few commoners coming and going, the normal kind of afternoon sort of traffic. A guy that gets off work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon stops by for a drink before he heads home sort of thing. So it slows way down from what it... Anybody have anything in particular they want to do? If not, we'll start turning our attention towards other things.
One small stupid thing, because Cassian brought this up, he's got no one but himself to blame. With that sleight of hand check of 10, how many coins did I nab from Cassian? He brought this up. He brought this on his head. Well, I did not initiate this.
Well, if he is doing that, what would I roll against it?
Perception.
Right.
Please, Nat one.
Oh.
Cassian reaches around and grabs your hand.
I'll just look over the boys. Really?
He started it.
While that is happening, I actually leave for my room. I have a name to add to my list.
And while things are dying down, Cassian will go over to the kitchen area to get some more food, but will actually just go in and read the note Trench gave him.
Very good. You have access to me, but let me slide it up into your category instead of mine, so you can find it easy. That would be handouts.
Well, with that read, and he is going to properly memorize it. He's going to
Sorry. Go on.
he's going to go over to the kitchen and throw the letter into the fire.
Would I have, at any point, during my mingling, run into Gillester at all?
You would have had time to talk to him. That's the kind of thing that I was opening up for you. Was there something you needed to discuss with him?
Oh no, just to say that I got the information that you had given me from last week.
Very good. We'll assume that you just said it in passing as he was in the middle of some conversation or whatever. He nods and thanks you. Okie doke. So things slow down to the point where the staff can probably handle the people coming and going at least until maybe dinner time, and it picks up a bit more. So you will probably have 4 hours at your disposal should you need it to go do something else in the city. What's your next order on the bill that you want to follow up on or handle?
Cassian is going to look into the information the letter Trench gave him said.
Okay, so you are going to go solo there?
Yes, he's going to be as discreet as possible, so full stealth mode.
What are the rest of you doing while Cassian is doing that?
Brilliant would probably talk to Epi and see if he wants to head over to Weird Bottle's concoctions for whatever they were supposed to go there for.
All right. We will deal with Cassian going alone to his place.
Just for the record, I would be going up to speak with Shepherd.
Okay, what would you be talking about?
It's pretty much a small, like, one-on-one Q&A of, like, so, you got some explaining to do, Lucy.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Pretty much.
Well, I would be in my room.
So
I wasn't sure if we wanted to do this now or...
Yeah, go ahead and RP that out while I'm getting this ready for Cassian.
Got it. So, let's see here. Knocking on that door.
Come in.
Push the door open. So, you are definitely an unusual being. I don't know too many people that sprout wings and give off an appearance such as that.
I should also probably mention, Madam DM, that my list is up, and she would probably see this list as well, so maybe she could have the handout now as well.
Okay, so the picture of all the things that you've got, yeah.
The conspiracy, yep.
Roll20 is going really slow for me. I'm having a terrible time. It's not opening pages and so forth, so I probably got too much up here, and the computer is starting to go, ah! Just a second.
I actually have it saved, so I can send it to Lynn for right now until
I've got it here. It's just that it's sitting there waiting to actually open. There we go. Let me put her name on this. Come on, you can do it.
There's a good puppy. You can do it.
All right, in player handouts, there is now a thing labeled conspiracies.
I don't see that.
No, you
Only
wouldn't.
Lynn would see it since she's in my room seeing it.
When people separate, they don't all get the same information.
Right.
Fair enough. They'll get it later.
And I cannot get this map to function. It's just sitting here moving at an inch an hour here. Come on.
I'll just make sure the door is closed behind me after taking a quick glance to make sure no one else came up, though really no one should have at this point.
I'll respond to her first statement saying, yes, I don't like exerting myself if I absolutely have to.
Well,
I suppose in some ways your appearance doing so gave everyone else time to get in and get out, and at least leaves a viable alibi for the rest of us not being there. Still, it was a risky, calculated move.
Indeed, but people tend to make grandiose statements as to what happened, so they truly do believe that it was just an angel descending down upon Growlhund Estate and not just a man who has sprouted some wings.
Obviously. So, what's your board about?
My board. You mean this, as I take a note that she could obviously see is Laeral Silverhand's name, and I am adding it to the board next to House Castellanter. This is a decade of work.
I will,
Sorry.
yeah.
For the audience, when it decides to cooperate, I'm going to actually put the picture up so the audience can see it, but it's just staring at me for the time being.
So, yeah, sorry, I interrupted you, Lynn.
No, it's okay. She's just gonna quietly take it in for a moment. Sometimes I wonder if there are things I see that I should still remain unseen.
If I truly cared that you saw this, I would not let you leave this room alive.
No, it's not that. It's about a few of the names you've put up on here. And I'll be looking towards the Zentarum side of the sheet. I made a rather raucous declaration in front of the elusive captain that I knew no one of that affiliation, even though it's highly suspicious that within a 24-hour period we're dealing with little venomous snakes with wings, and one happens to just show up at our door with a message for those two.
If it makes you feel any better, I did not know about their affiliation right away. It took some time to figure out as well.
Well, and as far as I'm aware, I know nothing of their affiliation, as long as it does not cause damage to any of the native people, so to speak. Regular citizens and all that. As long as it doesn't interfere with the livelihood of them and interfere with my goals, I have no problem with them being who they are and what they do.
And as I have thought out on my own, I care not for their allegiances as long as they have it for the best of the city, and by the looks of it, they have so far. Still, that does not deter the fact that they have had allegiance with someone that may have not had the best interests in the city, as has most people on this board.
Some can say that, and has been my affiliation as well from time to time, but clearly most of them are usually dead wrong.
I'll be the judge of that as I go point to the left side of the screen, or of the board, and I purposely point out her name on the board.
Yes, well, I have been known to dabble in the dance of lordships as I have to, but I will tell you this as in confidence, that despite what I may do or say on the outside, my intentions will always be for the betterment and protection of the people around me. That includes anyone who walks by and happens to be innocent, much as our departed friend. I won't see another person like him get caught in someone else's bullshit.
You can say that now, but once upon a time, could you say that?
I've always said things like that.
I've heard people say stuff like that, like Captain Stagget, and I point to his name, which is just under Cassian's name.
Well, she will. I'm assuming that I forgot to mention it, but I would have collected the paperwork, but left the clockwork piece in the safety of downstairs for now, not wanting to accidentally drop it or anything like that. And I'll hand over the map she was working on with all the circles of locations on where events that she has known about has happened, including the incident in Troll Skull Alley, the kidnapping of Crone, and then her own little notes of things like, highly suspicious, lists of like cults, this, that, and then like pinned locations of things that she needs to go check out herself type deal.
Very good.
So almost a mirror of what he has, but because it's from the outsider perspective of I don't know these people like everyone else does, so I don't know entirely what you know, if that makes sense.
The context.
Yeah, there's still a lot of key pieces missing from her observations, but this is what she's gathered so far.
And a lot of those names on there you probably wouldn't even know, but there's quite a web. It's names that are known to some of you, names that aren't known to you, etc.
As well as your own names in general. I may as well just ask, since you have seen this, and I turn around to face her. Where were you 9 years, 3 months, 15 days ago? I just put my hands behind my back, just...
How many hours?
Patiently.
You forgot the hour.
She'll laugh, look up as if trying to recall the memory. To be perfectly honest, I was at sea dealing with a band of pirates trying to invade the coasts of my own kingdom.
I would like to insight check that as soon as I get out of the thing here.
Out of my page!
Alright, insight. There we go. That's a 24.
Yeah, I'm not even going to roll anything against it because she's actually not lying.
So you would see nothing but truth.
I've only been here for maybe 3-4 months, give or take. Waterdeep wasn't even my first landing location. This has just happened to where I traveled to. I think it would be a little bit noticeable if my ship came in. If one of our ships came into port, with me just dropping off and skipping off into the city. We found a place to land, coastline, came off, they've sailed back. My armies are under the instruction to protect our borders until I've called for them again.
I wait a moment before answering. Your answer is acceptable for now.
I have no reason to lie to you. Granted, there are things I have not actually said, and of course, if you ask, I will of course tell you. But I have no reason to hide anything from any of you.
Most people don't, until they finally realize that they actually do.
Hard man to convince. Okay, meanwhile, as you guys are chit-chatting and finishing that portion up, Cassian has arrived up at Troll other body part. What was the other name?
Troll Crook Alley.
Yeah, but there seem to be a lot. They, of course, had the Troll Wars here in Waterdeep, so a lot of these streets are named after that. But you wander up. It doesn't take you too terribly long as you ask around with people who look like they live in the area. You know, the type of person that's out sweeping a sidewalk or whatever is familiar with the area and the people that are involved in it. And you do you ask after Fenrus's name, or what do you do?
I just make small talk, and I'll try to casually mention. He'll just casually mention the day-to-day minutia of troubles. Hopefully that they'll pop. Hopefully that they will that they'll say Fenris's name.
They
So
don't
he's just going to
say
be.
they don't say Fenris's name, but what they start to do right away when they start to feel a little more comfortable with you, that you're not asking anything terribly personal, they start complaining about the fact that the lights haven't been lit at night.
Yeah, that'll definitely make the criminals feel a little safer. So who is this man who's neglecting his job?
Fenrus is supposed to do it. He lives up there halfway up the alley, but I haven't seen him around in several days, and the lights have gone untended. Makes you wonder if he didn't get into some trouble and had to leave town in a hurry.
Terribly inconvenient for the lamplighters and the people who rely on their lights. Well, you go about your day. I just need to get to my home, and he'll just, with his hood up, just make his way through the alley.
Very good. And 1 second, I've got to find something. Maybe this one. Missing a part and piece of some of the information here. All right, where is that information? It must be on... Oh, I know why, because I closed it out here. That's why. This one, I think. Okay. Let me, I will put the whole group of you over, because what's going to go on will be a bit amusing, and I think you would rather be watching it. So I will put you all over onto the same map here that I am filling out. That's why I've got you all showing with this location. So Cassian comes walking in at the northeast entrance to this back way that he gets pointed to when he asks about it. Where are you going to go, and what are you going to do first? Show me how you're moving and what you're talking to. This is theater of the mind on it to a large extent, because you'll be handling this. Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you talking to?
He is going after talking to some of the people who live in here, and casually opening up their conversation for mention of Fenris. He's going to make his way towards Fenris's home, which is, as I remember, in the back alleyways behind Trollcook.
Yeah, you basically are directed. You're basically directed to this pinging area down here. Boy, this is running slow. Wow. Let me see.
All right, so
try to close what I can to try and help my computer handle it all. So you are directed down that way. I'm going to back you up just a bit. Only this isn't there. Back you up just a. Come on.
Right here.
I've got you. It's just that my It's not responding. I hover over it and nothing's happening, which is going to make the rest of this great fun when it happens. When you are about at that location, you suddenly start to hear yelling, only it sounds like children screaming and yelling. And you hear one boy's voice yelling, "Ee-ha!" And you don't know what on earth is going on. As you move forward the way that you indicated, if it will let me move, you get about to there, and you notice just around the corner, you see rolling down this sloped street, because it is sloped, you see a boy on an apple cart. Apples are falling off the cart as it goes. It's a push cart, hand cart sort of thing with two wheels, and it is rolling down the sloped street. He is on top of the pile of apples, on top of the wood, with a wooden sword held high in the air astride this cart, yelling his head off and yelling, "Avast, me hearties! We've taken the treasure!" And he comes charging down the street on this thing. First, the cart, if it will let me, rolls down to here, keeps on rolling, rolling, keeps on rolling.
This dog is going.
It eventually,
rolling.
yep, it eventually rolls. It eventually rolls all the way until it crashes with a loud crash right into this building right beside you, spilling apples all over the street.
And as one casually rolls towards him, Cassian will do a sort of like a soccer maneuver where he just gets it under his boot, then he kicks it up to the top of it, and then just throws it up to his in front of him, where he just catches it with his hand and just looks down at the young tiefling boy as he notices. "Having fun there, you bandit of the high sea."
What it looks like now, let me get this cart off, which will be slow, but I'll get that off. What the picture now looks like as you are standing there, things have scattered all over the street. And what you are basically seeing is him spilled out upside down, laughing his head off, probably hurt, but laughing his head off. Apples spilled all across the street, and the cart upside down and smashed out across the street next to you. Running from behind him at the direction that he came are two children of roughly, shall we say, somewhere in the age of 10 or something, running down the street behind him as fast as their legs will take him, yelling, "Squidly, are you all right?" At least the boy is yelling that. The girl is saying nothing. She is just running up to him. She skids to a stop in front of you and kind of looks up at you, sidesteps around you, and goes on running down towards Squidly as fast as she can. The boy behind her goes, "Pardon me, sir, pardon me, sorry. And he sidesteps you as well and goes on past to their comrade.
Quite the haul you have there, you three.
Aye, that I do! The pirate of the seven seas has been victorious again!
Well, Cassian will slowly come forward and gently pick the boy up by the scruff of his shirt.
Very good. He kind of jumps up as you lift him. You can see that his knees are skinned, but he seems to be just thrilled with it. He is just as happy as he can be about his skinned knees. And I can't get the girl out to where she belongs.
She's buried under the
Yes,
apples.
she's digging into the apples like somebody jumping into a pile of leaves, I guess, because she's back in there somewhere. Hi! They begin. They kind of look up at you like they're a little bit worried about who you are, and that just makes them move faster. They start grabbing apples as fast as they can and stuffing it into bags, pockets, coats, whatever they've got on. They're stuffing apples into it as fast as they can go.
Trench didn't tell me his informants were pirates.
Out
And
ahead
you
of
gotta say
there.
that out loud.
Hang on, I'm still trying to grab her token, but all I'm grabbing are apples. There we go. All right, we have her out. She doesn't respond to you at all. Her back is turned to you, and she just keeps on picking up apples. They all, the two boys look at you, and Squidly um, uh, says uh, to you, Trench, you know Trench?
Mm-hmm. I was the one who sent him. I was the one who sent him to the dogs looking for what I wanted to know.
Ah, oh, you're the one that's looking for Fenrus, are you?
I'm looking for someone.
Well, if you
Can't
want,
say who or where.
well, if you want Mr. Fenris, you'll find him in that house over there. And he kind of points. But I don't think he's been there for a while.
Well, I have to look anyway. But if but if you but if you three do run into trouble and he takes out 3 gold coins, I was never here.
And he grabs up the 3 coins and very quickly hands them out to the others. The girl stands up and like you almost have the sense she's noticing you for the first time, and she turns and she looks very suspiciously, and she looks back at Squidly and Jenks, and her hands wave in the air very oddly. Give me a perception roll. I'm going to see if you connect it to something. You would probably say, although it is not this, you would almost say it's something based on something like thieves can't. The hand
If you
signals
have a
of thieves
passive
can't.
of 15.
Yeah, okay, but this is more of a memory sort of thing. I almost could have you roll a history, but it's the kind of thing of you are connecting it to what you've got, and the nearest you can say is it's the hand motion portion of thieves can't, but you know a little bit of thieves can't, and it doesn't match.
Well, Cassian will just assume that it's their own little spin on their own little secret code, and he'll wait to see how the other two act in accordance to the hidden message.
Their hands go back and forth. All of them are using their hands. And she looks at them and kind of frowns, and she reaches out rather suspiciously and takes the gold coin from Squidly with a look like there's something wrong with this. And Squidly turns back and she says nothing's ever free.
Oh, of course not. This is just the exchange here is simply you take those coins and you forget I was ever here.
His hands wiggle in the air again, and she looks at you very suspicious, but she kind of nods her head. You still have not heard a word come out of her.
Cassian will look towards her, and he'll try and use thieves' cant himself. See if she picks it up.
Okay, do you have it as one of your full linguistic skills?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so she looks at you. Give me a D100 roll, please. She seems, it looks like she kind of understands that, even though what they are using their hands with seems quite different. She looks at it and an eyebrow raises and she kind of nods in reaction to what you are signing. She seems to understand thieves' cant.
Yeah, he's simply saying to her that he means no harm and that he's only interested in the strange cloaked figure.
Her hands start to go again towards the boys, and they say, "Yes, it was a couple of days ago." You're talking about the man that ran funny, right?
Yes, very, very odd. Like he was just learning how to walk.
Actually, I guess it would have been 1, 2, 3. It would have been 4 days.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying, that the man who looks like he's just learning how to walk, and he's using that in thieves' cant.
And she nods, like, yeah, that's just about what it was like. Was like he couldn't walk very good, and she makes some more motions. And Squidly says, she says, yes, but it was as if his legs were stiff.
His legs were
stiff, like they didn't bend at the knee.
Interesting. Well, that lines up with what Trench told me. So, you three have a good day now and enjoy your spoils. Best get moving, or else because the guards will be here soon.
They nod and continue stuffing apples in. They finally waddle off with probably 30 apples stuffed in each of their blouses, pockets, pants, whatever they've got. Squidly's even got a bunch of them in his hat that he's holding upside down like a bag. And they waddle off up the street, and that's the last you see of them for this moment.
Cassian will take a mental note of maybe reimbursing the person for the damaged cart and missing apples. But for now, he has to look for Fenrus.
For now, there is temporary victory.
So he's going to go over here, and you said the alley was there.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my computer run faster, and I'm taking apples off and things, hoping that will do it. There's something really wrong. It's running just super slow.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, this alleyway here is where it is. Let's see, I have it on, let me open that up. Now I'm going to take the dynamic lighting off so that you can see what's back behind a bit.
Making my way.
Okay, so you get up and you find a lot of boxes piled up in the alley. It would give me an insight roll to see what these boxes look like to you. What has happened here? uh, your only thought would be what an inconvenient place for a bunch of people to stack a bunch of boxes.
Well, either way, Cassian, he's now going into full stealth mode. So
give me a stealth roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are able, with only a very slight bit of rattle, to make it over this big pile of boxes and move them and do what have you to get through the alley to around to where the door is for what has been indicated as his thing. As you come around on the alley.
1 moment. Yeah, you said you took the lighting off, but
I'm looking to see what
it didn't work for me.
Yeah, let me see what this is doing. You may have make sure everything is off, but I'm having the same problem. Reload and see if you are able to see things. I can't reload because I'll reload a bunch of secondary pages that I don't dare reload. I may have to if it won't work.
All right.
Are you able to see?
Yes.
All right, good. As you come around, you notice that the door, which is here, you notice that it is standing ajar and that there are some pieces of clothing and various things that are laying on the sidewalk scattered out in front of it. A lot of this is going to be theater of the mind, so don't say I don't see it because it's not there.
All right.
But you see personal belongings scattered, a few of them, on the street in front of the door, and the door is ajar.
I'm going to roll investigation and see what this mess says.
It is one of two things, but at this point you don't have enough information to know. Either somebody left in a big hurry, scattering their stuff behind them, or there's been a break-in.
Well, Cassian will take one of his daggers and keep it hidden as he makes his way towards the door.
Very good. The door stands ajar, and not far inside the door, you also notice belongings, chairs upset, things knocked all over the place, and not far inside the door, you notice that there is blood.
Cassian is not liking this, but he is going to have to slowly make his way inside, not leaving the door open or not widening the door any further. Oof. Lots of blood.
Yeah, the whole entry area, kitchen, living area, dining area, all in one, is pretty much a trail of footprints and blood leading out the door. Whatever has happened probably is in the next room. But it looks like this place has been thoroughly ransacked.
Well, first Cassian will use his hand with the fingerless gloves and take a small dip one of his fingers into the blood and see if it's like warm, cold, dry, or still wet.
It's pretty much at best it's mucus. It has been here for some time. Most of the puddles are dry.
Cassian's not liking this, so he's going to make his way over to the other room.
The door swings open quite easily, except that it stops against something. The bedroom is torn apart. The mattress is laying on the floor, a simple cot and mattress, and it is laying on the floor. The stuffing is even cut out of it, but the door doesn't open all the way. You're going to have to kind of step around the door to get in and see what's behind it.
Well, Cassian has a good idea of what it's going to be, but he's going to step around it, and what does he see?
He sees a man dead in a pool of drying blood, has obviously been dead for several days, and there is a knife stuck in his back.
Cassian, Cassian's going to lean the body over and take a look at the knife. And he's going to pull it out to get a good look at it.
Very good. It is a nondescript knife with nothing particular on it, just a regular metal and wood handle that is kind of your average everyday sort of knife.
Cassian knows that whoever this is, they're pretty discreet, so he leaves the dagger on the floor. In fact, he actually just takes it and puts it into the dead man's hand.
And you notice I'm just going to use your same investigation roll. With that investigation roll, you notice that some things have kind of fallen on top of it, but something has been written in blood.
Has been what?
Written in blood.
All right, Cassian's going to remove some of the clutter and see what it is.
As you begin to uncover each letter, you make out what appears to be G-O-L-O-R-R.
Oh boy. Cassian's not liking this anymore. With this and gone cold, he's at least going to try and look at the footprints.
The footprints clearly show that there were at least 2 other people there. With the way the house has been torn apart, a lot of the footprints have been smeared, so you're not sure. There's at least 2 people have left the building after having tracked through the blood in the bedroom.
And there's nothing else in the main room?
Just every table, drawer, everything has been upset, like they were desperately looking for something.
Cassian is swearing to himself, saying, should have gotten to this sooner, and he just makes his way out towards the door and back to the troll skull.
Very good.
But he'll look at a few things one last time before he leaves. Investigation or perception?
You notice, with a pretty good perception roll, the one thing that catches your eye is that although the back part of the house is torn completely to shreds, there are a couple of dressers with drawers in it right by the door that have not been upset, don't look like they've been opened at all, which might or might not mean something.
Cassian will take a look in there.
It is normal pots, pans, the everyday sort of drawers of somebody that has a very simple life, just a very simple pot and so forth that he might put on the things. It is notable, its contents are notable only because it is the only thing that was not upset in the entire house.
Cassian really wants to look at it now. He doesn't care now. He's going to investigate this further.
You cannot find anything unusual in this dresser, except that it possibly, for some reason, they didn't feel like they needed to look in it.
Anything around it of note?
Just this horrible bunch of blood and everything torn out and scattered all over the place, upset.
How about under?
Under the dresser? Just
Yeah.
wood, nothing stuck underneath it.
Cassian is just going to let this slide for now, and he just makes his way back to the troll skull.
All right. As you come out from the alleyway and out onto the main alley, if you will, you notice an individual is standing across the street that had not been there before. And you recognize this individual.
Cassian is now thoroughly confused at the presence of Lady Silverhand.
She smiles at you and says, "I've called the guards. It appears that he came into some bad things. I hope you will notify me if you find out anything. The guards will be here shortly. We heard of a disturbance on the street, and individuals called for the guards, and I came since I was in the section of city and decided before I went down to the castle district that I would check on this myself."
Cassian, dropping his, keep sheathing his dagger, just looks straight at the Open Lord, and he'll just say, "Well, he's been dead for a while now, I'll have to say."
Yes, it appears that Xanathar got to him for some reason. If you do track it down with the monster, I do hope you let me know, won't you?
I will.
Thank you so much. And with a sweep of her elegant green and silver gown, she sweeps away down the street. Give me one. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with what you're going to say.
Well, I was going to give a very good look at her, just sizing her up very intently.
Give me a perception roll. You weren't. How much of the conversation did you hear between Nakri and her?
A few bits of it as he was moving to and fro from the kitchen and the bar.
All right, so you look her up and down, and the best you can tell, it looks identical to the woman you saw in the bar. Absolutely identical. There's something tickles your mind. It's not about her appearance. It definitely seems to be her, but something makes you kind of go, there seems to be something odd about that, but you don't know what it is, even with that high roll.
Well, Cassian, feeling the heebie-jeebies, will try to keep it down for now, but he's going to make a note of that as he leaves back towards the troll skull.
All right, so we will all go back to the troll skull now. We're coming up on the end, so you guys can wind this down. How much are you going to share with them, Cassian? You haven't been sharing very much with your partner.
Well, Cassian is going to tell them everything. He's going to tell them that his lead has gone cold via dagger to the back, and the Open Lord apparently visited him. But he's very concerned because they were acting, well, something about it was very atypical, but he can't put his finger on it.
Do any of you wish to ask Cassian any questions?
I will. Question. You said you saw the The lady, the Open Lord there?
Yes, she came out of nowhere.
The person you were looking in after, what race were they?
What was
She,
Fenrus?
Fenrus, he's a human.
Just a normal human.
Curious. Uh, Here's the strange question. She was with 2 guards. Where were they?
If they were there, they're very quiet and discreet. But she's
No.
open.
She is the head Open Lord. She came in very discreet with 2 guards at her side. That is unusual that she would be by herself like that in the middle of the street. In a dark alley location, you would say?
Yes, in the Troll Crook Alley. Maybe that's what was it.
I don't think that was actually her then.
You may be right, but I have nothing to go on. She's a powerful. What do I know about Silverhand? What does Cassian know?
That she is as much as any citizen of Waterdeep would know, she's the president of Waterdeep, and she's well known, and she's a noble woman that climbed the ladder and became the Open Lord of Waterdeep.
But what about her abilities?
Actually, I don't even know. Let me find out, and I will tell you.
So mysterious, even the DM doesn't know.
Dun dun dun.
She's a spellcaster.
Hmm.
Not surprising, since it's very common that the Open Lord is heavily supported by the Black Tower.
All right. Well, she's a spellcaster of high degree. That much I know.
Even still.
Still, you're right. She didn't have her shadows around her.
There was nothing really shadowy about them when they came in. They were out in the open.
Well, that's what I mean. They stuck to her like a shadow.
Let's see. I'm going to put words into your mouth for just a moment to make more of a reason why this happens. But as you reach in to take the little piece of map out that showed where you were to talk about what was going on at the time, you suddenly notice that there is another piece of paper in there with it that is about the same size as the folded up scrap of map.
Cassian is now very concerned because he didn't see that before, and he quickly opens it up.
And I've got to read this so I get the right amount. It says very simply Xanathar, which of course she had said. And she said it is in a very delicate handwriting that could possibly be her handwriting. It says that known cellar close by.
Cassian shows Nokri the scrap of paper.
And how much time till we have our next rush of people?
You're down to about a couple of hours now. Give or take an hour, depending on when they decide to come, of course.
When we close tonight, I suggest we maybe close a little earlier. I think we should all have a sit down and put all the cards on the table.
Yes. No more secrets, I think.
You can keep secrets, but vital information is still vital. Nokri will leave Cassian to go inform Relian, Shepard,
Everybody.
Epiphany.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody.
pretty much. She's just going. It's like, I think we all need to have a long talk when closing happens.
Very good. So next time on Crone's Crucible, when we take up, we will be having a sit-down talk in preparation for going looking for some cellar close by, quote unquote, and why on earth Laeral Silverhand would have taken note of this and sent you that way. So questions within questions and no answers coming forth. This just weaves a more complicated web every day. Anything you want to do before we close this out for the night?
I think Epiphany's thing is supposed to be later in the evening.
Yep.
Cassian is not liking anything about this.
Rel can probably just head out on his own while Epi's doing his thing to go meet this weird... What was his name? Fuzzbucket? No, wait, Weird Bottle. Fuzzbucket is that awful failed original Disney film.
Epiphany is playing chess with Cousin Yorn.
I'm sorry, every time I hear that name, I just want to go, Yorn! Yorn!
Yorny.
Checkmate again.
Oh, you beat me again. Ah, I'll have to watch myself, I can tell.
Yes, you will. Epiphany goes to bed.
And as she walks by Cousin Rel, she leans over to Rel and says, I let him win.
That's probably a good idea. Have you ever seen what he does to people when he loses?
He rips their arms out of their sockets, yes, and beats them over the head with it.
Pretty much whatever he does when he doesn't like somebody.
Yeah.
He eats them.
Well, with that wonderful image in your mind to leave off for tonight, the image of Chewbacca playing chess, we will end it for tonight with Relian's famous words of wisdom. What does Relian have for us tonight?
Bye, everybody. Remember, crazy is a term of art. Insane is a term of law. Remember that difference, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble with the police.
I'm not insane, officer. I'm only crazy. Good night.